It's a great day here at KEKS, the gamer podcast specializing in One Piece card game. I am KEKFILA, and today is another exciting podcast where I am joined with the one and only Will to Win Gaming. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for asking. You already know my first name, right?
Yes.
You can call me Kek or Sage. That's fine.
I'm gonna call you Kek.
Okay.
I love Kek.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear you're doing good and everything with that. But before I get started, I first wanted to do a few updates with the podcast. We've been doing it on YouTube, and we're gonna keep on doing YouTube so you can still see us. But we are now on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well, and I would love to get some discussion going as well. So I'll probably keep that into the YouTube comments for now. But I wanted to ask the community who I should try to get on this podcast in the future, and leave that down in the comments at them. I also have Twitter, so you can maybe tweet them to my podcast, right? And maybe you'd love to hear them talk to me for a bit. But also, this podcast is sponsored by Loser Dawn. It's just some proxy Dawn, and I think there's some other Dawn that's coming in the works with a guy named True for my locals. But the Loser Dawn is just it says Loser on it. I think you can buy a handful for $25 for 10. People buy them for their big events coming up at their locals, right? And so my locals bought some off of this guy, and essentially they gave it to like the last place or people that did not make finals, right? Make top 8. And it's really satirical, right? I think they actually gave a full 10 to the person who went X and O. No, sorry, X and 5 for some reason.
I don't want to win those.
You
Sorry.
want to win those?
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
But in case you want to bring your friend and not worried about that, maybe they can walk away with something. It's all satirical at that point. But anyway,
I'm getting someone on your show. I would say Cross, the guy who won Peoria.
Okay.
That dude is so sick at card games. He's so good.
I will get him on the show. He recently followed me on Twitter. He saw one of my memes I posted. I made Gum Gum Webcam, that meme, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to stole it, but it's free, so I don't care. But I'm glad he posts it and retweets that because, essentially, but he followed me because of that, so I can probably get him on here. So I'll pick.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I think he was in a couple chats I was in. I don't know if you know this guy because I think he's bigger in Vanguard and you don't do Vanguard. Noman, right?
No, not a clue.
Noman is a very interesting character when it came to Vanguard, but essentially, I think I joined one of Noman's chat groups and Cross was in there, and I didn't do a lot of discussion in there once the game came out, like after a few weeks, no PO1. Because there wasn't a lot, but they still have it. I remember when Cross got first, they're like, "Oh, grats, Cross, grats!" And I was like, ugh.
"Yeah, the dude's a beast."
Yeah, I think he keeps on finding, these packs. He tweets like, "Oh, they just keep showing up randomly. Like I just."
Not another one. Oh no.
Yeah, and it's probably like an Uta or something. Maybe he just sells them all, probably. But
I don't think I've opened a gym bay in like 15 packs or something like that. Yeah.
Do you have people that are buying the other stuff, or do you have like a collection of
I have all of them.
Okay.
I have a bunch of Sengokus. Luckily, I have a lot of Barts, which has spiked recently.
Yeah, and kind of thanks to you guys and Cross? Is that?
I think there's us, and there's a guy who got third. So he lost in the finals, but ended up getting third.
Oh.
I think his list is a little different than ours, but yeah, they all run Bart.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the funny thing is about that, we just need to make Sengoku and Uta a good card, make a deck list for that, and then and then you can sell that too, right?
They're so bad. That Uta card's so bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I was driving down the price of my own collection here, but yeah, that card's unplayable. There's even a new card coming out that's better. It's like a new Robin that's just that card but better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably has a counter to it as well. So
I believe so. And it comes into play off your life.
Yeah, you're right. It's Miss All Sunday. That's what it is. I'm like, Robin?
I don't watch the anime, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
So
Have
it
you have
looks
you
like Robin.
have you watched any of the anime? Like even 2 episodes?
I watched the Paramount War arc.
Oh.
I know it's weird because like someone's like, "Hey, this is cool. Check it out." And I was like, "Yes,
Mhm.
I love this." But other than that, no, I
Yeah.
haven't watched
I,
anything.
I I have I didn't start watching the anime until I started the card game actually, and so
So pretty recently.
yeah, so I'm almost 300 episodes in, and there was a time I was doing like maybe 1 episode a week, and I get it. That's why there's something called One Pace. It's like a film. It's like a fan
I've
project,
heard of it. Yep.
and I'm like, well, they need to get on this. This needs to be like a crowd-funded thing because this is pretty awful for me to skip through on my own.
I hate fillers. Like I love like Bleach, but like I did not watch a single filler. I just skipped all of it. Like I can't do it.
Bleach does Bleach have a lot of filler? I never watched Bleach.
Yes. It's like 300 episodes and like 250 of them are fillers.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
We'll probably jump into anime a little later too. Actually, I
Sure.
don't mind talking a whole subject about anime. It seems you can talk about it a little bit too. But
Yes, I love
let's
anime.
let's get to know you for a bit,
Okay.
right? Even outside of card games, right? I don't know where your locals are at or where you kind of live or but you have like a local scene where you're at?
Yeah. So I live in Oklahoma City. Um, it's a very interesting because you think Oklahoma, you think like Dust Bowl, small town, but we actually have three extremely large shops in our area. I mean, we're talking like the smallest one is 7,000 square feet, and we have one that's like 10,000, one that's like 12,000. Like these
Mm-hmm.
are huge shops, and
Mm-hmm.
our locals are getting 20 to 25 people. And a lot of us are really competitive players. A lot of us travel, go to events outside of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good scene around here, and I credit a lot of that to being able to stay on, just always having a winning record, always doing well in events,
Mm-hmm.
is because the competition here is so good.
Great. I mean, have you always kind of lived near that area? Did you move there for some reason?
I grew up here, and yeah, I grew up probably about 10 miles from where I live now, so pretty close to home.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, before you play card games, I mean, like, actually, have you always played card games since a young age, or?
Yeah, so when I was 14,
Mm-hmm.
um, I started Magic the Gathering,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 weeks afterwards, I qualified for my first professional tour or pro tour.
Yeah. What year
So
was
like,
that? Or I guess in perspective, how old are you now? You're
I'm
14.
36 now.
36 now. Okay, so
36.
22 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I qualified for my first pro tour 6 weeks after I learned the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
the guys I learned from were really big. I don't know if this term's in One Piece. They're called spikes. Like they go to tournaments, they try to win tournaments. It's not about having fun. It's about winning.
Okay. It's business, right?
Business.
Yeah.
And so I credit a lot of the way I grew up in card games was I just wanted to win. It wasn't about having fun for me. It was about playing the best deck and winning.
Mm.
And so after I did that, I actually dropped out of high school to play card games, and I've been doing
Whoa.
it ever since. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been all over the world to play Magic. I did a little bit of Pokemon. I did a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh until they printed Chaos Emperor Dragon. I don't know if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, but screw that card.
Some. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mostly played Magic for a living for about a decade before I got like a real 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was travel and play Magic and sell cards.
Nice. And that was, you said between like the years of like what 2005 to 2015 is
What year are we in? Yeah, about
2023.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, about that. Yeah,
Okay.
and I just took a small break when I met my now fiance, and
Mm-hmm.
then because it's kind of like you're 25,
Mm-hmm.
get a real job. But after I got a real job, I went right back to card games. Like
Yeah.
I just love it.
I mean, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it seemed to you, it's very rare. A lot of people can make a living off of it as well, right?
Right,
So,
and I'm not like rich by any means, but yeah, I make enough money so I'm not homeless. So that's
yeah,
good
I
enough for
mean,
me.
that's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
but at least you get to do what you like too. So with that, so did you do any other things like any sports or any, let's say, other video games?
Yeah. So I've never been like the best at video games, but I've
Sure.
always been kind of up there. So when I was 12, I think it was, I was on the MLG circuit for Halo 2.
Okay.
And I went to a few tournaments and I played with some of those like really top tier guys and I just got creamed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loved it, but I couldn't compete at the level that was good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was always good, but I was never top tier. And I think that's one of the things that also really drew me to card games. I could really win at card games, you
Yeah.
know.
Sure.
And also I played baseball
Play
for a
baseball.
number of years
Number
till
years.
I got fat. That was,
I used to
but
run a lot until I got a little fat. So
yeah.
yeah. um. So you did that. You did card games. Did you play any like video games like on your PC? Because you said
Yeah.
you prefer KEK. Did you ever play any World of Warcraft?
Oh,
Right.
oh, sure. I played a lot of that. World of Warcraft. I did. I didn't really do competitive rating. I like
You,
did.
yeah. You,
Um.
you don't have to be competitive to play WoW. You know, you can just be competitive within your guild, right?
Oh
So
well. You don't know me that good just yet. This is like it's my nature. Like I have to be doing like the cutting edge content. Like
okay.
that's just me. Interesting enough, when Diablo 3 came out, which I guess is about 10 or 11 years
Yeah,
now,
I remember that.
I was I was making income doing the real money auction house for a number of months.
Oh, okay. I remember when people
That,
were doing that.
yeah, and no, that was actually sizable. I think I was pulling in about $4,000 a month doing that,
Nice.
and then they got rid of it, and I was like, okay, well,
Why did they get rid of it? I can't. It was pretty quick, right? When they
it's for
did Diablo
people
3.
just complaining. I
Yeah.
think people were complaining, and they were just revamping like the system in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
people didn't like the difficulty, and people didn't like the ideas. Well, this rich kid can have all the items he wants because he has money for it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind it, of course, because I was exploiting the
Yeah.
system, if you want to call it that. But
Yeah. I play a lot of WoW Classic, and
yep,
and I don't know if you played any WoW Classic, right? But I rated pretty.
I
I
did.
wouldn't say I'd say it a good, really good guild, really good raid, right? Not some people. The other raid would be very competitive, and ours wouldn't. I just didn't have. I was a feral druid, right? So it was
Okay, yeah.
one of those things. So
I see your problem.
I did real. Yeah, see, I'm not a warrior, right? That's
Yeah,
might be my issue, right? My
yeah,
main cutting edge issue. But I could do well outside of that, right? And
yeah,
with that too, I mean, they just released they just released a WoW token in WoW Classic Wrath of the Lich King, right? And
yeah.
so, I mean, the thing is, people were still buying gold anyway. People are buying gold more now, and I
Sure.
don't. And it's what kind of brings up to the real money auction house trading. People could just people have disposable income, right?
Right.
And if they
I don't
can,
think you should be penalized for it.
no,
But,
it's not. No, you're right. Yeah, but the only problem is bots, right? But Blizzard's never going to do anything
sure.
about bots.
No,
Unfortunately, they can't
they're
have.
everywhere.
Yeah, they can't have like one person per server, like watching the server or something. It's
Right. And you can guess who played a Prot Warrior in World of Warcraft.
yeah,
Right.
that you have
Like,
that image, right? So
yeah, I played Prot Warrior forever,
yeah,
like through every expansion.
did you play both like Alliance and Horde?
Always Horde.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I believe I started with the Tauren,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they made it so that the passives were more or less useless,
Mm-hmm.
then more homogenize the passives. I played Orcs from then on,
Yeah,
just because I like the aesthetic.
yeah. Did you play things competitively or just free for fun? And you guys played at a high level there, or what was that about?
I
Because
just played for. I tried to compete. It's like I'm not good enough to be like that upper echelon of
sure,
player at video games. I could just be the top dog, in
yeah.
a small pond, big fish in a small
And
pond.
WoW was different back then. I mean, I'm only 28, right? So I was really young when back in Burning Crusade when I played, right?
Right?
But I played a lot of classic. Did you do any classic WoW?
I did. I started in classic. Wow.
No,
What
no,
was that like?
not vanilla WoW, not like
Oh,
2006, not the 2004 WoW,
okay.
2019 classic WoW.
No, no, no. I haven't done. I got tempted to kind of go back to it, and I was just like, nah. I would
Okay,
get so addicted. Yeah.
it was a good
Yeah.
time. So that's why I mean that's where my classic experience was, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, but
I, I'm old, so I was like way back in the OG, right?
yeah, you probably fit in though. So,
Yeah.
but that's fine. You're not missing out. They're making a fresh soon. So, in case you needed a community to play with.
Diablo 4 is coming out in a
Oh
week,
yeah.
and I'm disappearing from the planet for at least a month.
Really? Okay.
Yes, that is my jam.
There's your jam. Okay. I never played
It
any
is.
Diablo. So
It's not too late.
not too. Oh dang, you got me there. You got me there. Look at. Oh, I don't think I will. It's not for me.
Dude, $100 you can play in 6 days, my friend.
It's only 100.
It's like the ultimate god edition. Whatever is $100.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'll probably just watch
You,
people play and see.
you get to play 4 days early, and to me, it's worth it.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that? I mean, there's not gonna be real money tied to it, right? I don't know.
No, shouldn't
Okay,
be.
nothing crazy. Not that I need that. It's just, I guess it'd be a unique experience for me. I don't know. It's been hyped for like 3 years, right? Diablo 4. So
Yes.
since like BlizzCon when they had the first online BlizzCon, I believe.
And they revealed Diablo Immortal, I think, which was a tragedy. Oh my god, I don't even want to get into that. That's
Yeah, we don't have to at all. So,
yeah,
so you
it's
played
so bad.
Magic, and
Yep.
then you probably still have some sort of Magic inklings or itch.
Yeah. Actually, next week, me and my fiance are playing in the regional championship at DreamHack. We both qualified.
Nice.
I haven't played so much in 2020. I think it was. I actually won a pro tour, which was in that time they were online because of COVID and the epidemic. And I haven't really played much competitively since then because that was kind of like my goal in Magic was to win this. This is like the highest, thing you can win for the most part. And I haven't really had an itch to play as much since then, but I still go to tournaments and anything I can win like large amount of cash at, I tend to go to.
Makes sense. Where is this cash funded from exactly? Is that just Wizard of the Coast, or is that just prize pool people put in, organizers?
It's Wizards of the Coast. It's yeah, they fund all the prize pools. Like typically a Magic tournament actually has a pretty high entry fee compared to One Piece. It's about $80 to $100.
Okay.
So then that all goes to the players, or probably actually about 50% of it goes to players if I did the math. But
and then so Wizards is making a profit most likely off of their tournaments as well.
oh yeah, or the tournament organizers. They have to be. They kind of cut down on like competitive play because they went to a model where they think well, competitive players about 20% of our total business, so we're going to cut them out for the most part. And that's another thing that kind of drove me away from Magic into these other card games was that they just stopped caring about people like me I just love we're called grinders, I guess is the term. We just go to every tournament. We want to just compete all the time, and they just don't care anymore.
Why do you think that is? Do you think there's some sort of is it a money thing for them? Is it better to cater to casuals, or
it is?
It should be more
I mean,
about the game and less about the competition. I don't know.
It's 100%. They figured out that casuals are most of their player base, and I don't fault them for wanting to make money. But when it is only about money, then the fringe people like me are just going to leave. It's not going to hurt their bottom line really because we're such a small percentage. But I vote with my wallet. I'm just not going to give them money anymore.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Well, that sounds fair to me. And I know whenever I go to any place, Magic isn't too popular. It's just Commander is pretty popular. It is still Magic, and it's almost became the casual format that's become hyper competitive now, right? So
yes, 100%. And I hate it. I mean, I hate Commander more than anything. But I let people have fun. Like I would never stop people from having fun, but I hate Commander because there's no tournaments for it. Right? There's no real tournaments for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just local stuff basically.
Right.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess it could have lead to something else, but not realistically. No, you're not going to see pro tours and things like that of grinders going to play Commander.
If they had Pro Tours Commander, I'd be all in.
I
would play it. Yes, 100%. But they don't, so I hate on it as much as possible.
And then, actually, before we jump into One Piece, are you dabbling into any other card games right now? I guess you said you're talking about Union Arena. You're just looking into that.
Yes, if they bring Union Arena here, I'll play it. I'm playing Battle Spirits currently.
How's that?
It's interesting. I'm not sure if it's going to stick because it doesn't have an IP behind it, but it's a fine game.
Oh, Battle Spirits. What do you like about Battle Spirits right now? Or are you just playing it to see what it's like?
I'm mainly just playing because it's, again, Bandai's throwing money at it. It's like first place, 7 grand.
Really?
The game is interesting. I think the mechanics are interesting, but it just doesn't. It doesn't have an IP behind it, so I think it's going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my problem with it. Like I
Okay.
love the game. I mean, I like the game. Love's a little strong, but the fact there's cash behind it, I will play it and try to compete at it.
Yeah, makes sense. How is there cash behind it like that?
Because Bandai's just throwing money at it.
Like
Like
cash, like an actual cash prize?
actual cash
Mm.
prize, first place is 7 grand at their they call them grand opens. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's $7,000 for first.
When is that?
The next one I know of is in Ohio, but it's the same day as the One Piece regional, which I'll be competing at that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't play Battle Spirits, unfortunately, but
Hmm. Okay. When I think about like certain IPs and places, I mean, I'm only used to Card Fight Vanguard and Bushy Road. They never even
yeah.
had an entry fee for their tournaments, right?
Wow, that's
And
interesting.
yeah, but their price pool also wasn't so good either, right? And
Sure.
so, um, and it was a little strange because anybody can get in. It basically the tournaments were so you can go play the game actually, right? And
Yeah.
that's why people would buy their product because they had to play the game, right?
Right.
And then you can get things like top eight, like a cool playmat, right? And then I got third place in some Care Expo regional for
Killing it.
premium, and then
Yeah.
you all I get is a piece of paper and an invite to Japan, and that
Hey.
I had to pay to go to Japan,
Okay.
right?
So that's different. Magic used to pay for your trips when you went to Pro Tours. If you qualify for Pro Tour, they'd actually pay for you to go out.
Yeah, well, that would be
So
great. But this only
yeah.
if you're first place, you get paid to go to Japan, right? Like
Okay.
they'll pay your flight. And I almost didn't go, but my he's always wanted to go to Japan, and that was like the one reason. Like you're gonna go play a tournament, let's go. So
Yeah. I'd be the same way. I'd be like, pack your bags. We're going.
yeah, yeah. So have you been to Japan before? I don't know if
Yeah,
they had.
that first Pro Tour I was talking about that I qualified for was in Yokohama. So yeah.
Mm, mm. Okay, is that like Akihabara area? I have no idea.
I don't know. I just went
Okay.
with my dad. He kind of showed me
Hmm.
around.
Did,
I do
did,
everything with my dad.
mhm,
Like when I travel,
mhm,
like we went to Europe together and
mhm.
Australia and stuff like that. So
Did he play card games too with you, or?
no, he just he's career Air Force and he's been all over the world, so he just likes to go with me.
Oh,
So I'll go play cards and he'll go like tour Amsterdam or Germany or wherever we are.
that's pretty cool. So you usually used to go. That's pretty awesome, right? So, yeah. So what drew you to One Piece? What even let you saw One Piece the card game?
So initially, what drew me was, and you can ask anyone around here if you get to talk to them. I said, this game will make you money. If you invest in this game, you're going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Romance Dawn came out, I was like, well, I'm going to get like 4 cases and I'm going to open them all and I'm going to keep 4 of everything and sell the rest. And that, I know it's greedy. Sorry, everyone, but that's what I did. And, I have 4 of everything, including alternates. And it cost
Mm-hmm.
me, I think I made like 5 grand or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
just because how expensive stuff was.
Yeah.
But after I played it, I was like, wow, I like this game a lot. It reminds me of Flesh and Blood, which I played for a while. And I just fell in love with the card game now because I know nothing about the anime. I just
Mm-hmm.
love the card game.
Yeah. I mean, it has components of other card games into it quite a bit, right?
Sure.
And then it has the fact that there's only one phase. So it makes
Yes.
it a lot less complicated, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's really easy to learn, like for sure. But I think as the time goes on, people are starting to realize there's a lot of strategy involved that it's just like just beneath the surface where most players aren't going to look.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. I I personally find this game is a lot of whoever makes the least mistakes. and you learn a lot by just losing or making mistakes, right? And
Right.
yeah, but
And I kind of talked about this with on one of my videos where like people when they lose in this game, they're like, well, I only lost because I didn't draw this card, or I only lost because yeah, right. Like you're not learning anything. You're just going to keep
mhm.
losing the same way. And my whole goal is like get people better, like learn from your mistakes and you will get better. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then I mean, I'm sure you've been in a situation where should have lost the game and your opponent made a mistake, right? I think
Oh
everyone's
yeah,
been in that. So
100%. And I've been in situations where I've done something where I shouldn't have won, but they did something even worse, right?
yeah,
So like,
yeah. With that too, did you do any of the super pre-release back when there was only trial decks at all? Was there locals going on about that?
I did not get to play in one. I I was working and I signed up for them and I got the decks, but I did not get to actually play any of the super pre-releases, unfortunately.
Okay.
I would love to have the free $600 or $1,000 or whatever it is now.
Yeah. I should have invested more time into that. I barely even showed up to one. My brother like dragged me to one. And he did it so he can use me as a body to buy 4 trial decks, right?
Yeah,
So
a lot of people they're getting the red decks and they're like, oh, I'm gonna sell this for $80. I'll make so much money, and I just
80.
held mine. Yeah, I sold mine for $250. I was
Yeah.
like,
My brother he gave a bunch to a couple friends, right? And then
mhm,
like just to play, and then they had never touched it because they don't care. And so now they're
right.
mailing it back. So now he has all these extra red super pre-release trial decks.
It's just as good as money. Like I don't like to do the investment part of card games a ton, but
Hmm.
if this is what I need to do to supplement my income, I'm
Hmm.
going to do it.
I think
Right.
it's a good idea. I mean, it's you're not a businessman, you're a business man. I always used to say that, right?
Yeah,
Uh, but
clearly not a
well,
business.
it just makes sense too. It's kind of an interesting thing. If you knew you were going to go to the casino and it was going to hit red, right? You would go to the casino and do that, right? So and same thing in
Right.
regards of One Piece. If you knew this game was going to blow up, of course you're going to buy stuff and then sell it in a month. That's where it's going to double your
Right.
money. And I know
Like
people who accidentally did that, right? And it
right.
seems that you did it thinking it was a good idea and then ended up being even a better idea, which
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think
It
anyone's
went
knocking you for that.
beyond. Yeah, it
Because
went up. Well, some people are like you're greedy, you're buying more than you should, but like I feel bad.
they could just not sell it to you. They had that option. There's a store actually. There's a couple stores in my area, and they really do want to get rid of product, even if it's MSRP or like just above, right? $90 a box, things like that. And then there's a store down the street or a couple miles away that's selling it for like 150 plus bucks. It's selling, or it's
Right.
on. Obviously, it's on TCG for more. I could go there, buy it, and then sell it on TCG, right?
Right.
That I don't like that idea. However, someone else will do it, right? And the only thing
Right.
that's
They will.
stopping that is the
100%.
store saying we only sell one per customer, or they just limit it, right? That's up to the store at that point.
Right.
And if they make that mistake, it's not really on you for capitalizing on that, right? So
And my kind of thing about it was that I was all in on One Piece 6 months before it released.
mhm.
And you have all these people coming in, they complain there's not enough product. Like you just want the product because now it's worth a lot. It's very valuable.
Mm,
Like I was supporting Bandai from the beginning, and some people just want to wait to see if it becomes popular or not. So to me, it's kind of also like I was in on it at the start. I reaped some of the rewards that you may not be able to.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's kind of like almost regrettable. My brother got a case, right? And it just doubled in price like, a month later. I'm like, dude, what if we just did that instead and got all commons,
yeah,
Like, cuz I know people that accidentally did that. They bought a case and then they were traveling so they couldn't get that, and then they had it and they're like, "Well, I'll just sell it. I might as
yeah,
well. I already got everything I needed." So,
100%.
the thing is, the people that are buying that are happy to buy it from you, Like
Right.
they're more than happy. Like, thank you for having this for me, this product. I can't believe you actually had boxes left, right? So
And I actually held a lot of my boxes. So one of my locals, they ran out of product for tournaments, and I was using my boxes to supply the tournaments.
really,
Yeah.
That's awesome because I'm sure a lot of places they didn't have packs for a while. I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I think there's one store they were promising future packs, and then they actually had to finally go to store credit, right? So
Yeah, because you don't know. Like, and
yeah.
I wouldn't play for future packs personally. I go for prizing, but store
Mm-hmm.
credits. I just don't like having store credit, right? Like, I just want to have physical cards so I can do something with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could buy it with store credit and then resell it, but that's it's hard. It's not easy, right?
It's, it's not always worth my time investment for
Yeah.
me.
Well, let's talk about your locals before we actually get into. I guess you've had a lot of achievements in the past, right, with card games and One Piece. We've only had like 6 months of One Piece, right? So how much can really one man do, Will? Or whatever you did. So
I'm trying. I'm not quite where Jackson is, who's won like 4 Luffy's,
four, yeah.
but we're I'm trying. I'm very consistent. That's where I'll stay at. Like, I might not get a Luffy every time, but I'll always be like top 16. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm happy with that for now.
I think that's a good goal to reach, right? And I mean, what did you play in the very beginning, actually, of OPO1? What were you going with there?
So my first deck was Kaido,
Hmm.
but then my fiance wanted me to teach her the game, so I gave her Kaido, and I switched over to Kid. So I played Kid for most of OPO1 after that,
Hmm.
which it was awful. Playing the mirrors was awful. I
Hmm.
won't lie, but everything else, like, that deck was just so good.
Yeah. I and my locals, like, no one played Kid. There's one guy who did, but he kept on winning too much, so he gave up on it. I don't know why.
So why you're winning? Keep going.
I guess he didn't like winning. Maybe that's what it was. But I was in a similar boat as far as Kaido went, because Kaido was actually really strong in trial deck format, like
Right.
unbelievably broken, to be honest. And I was in my brother gave me a Doflamingo alt leader because I was playing blue. So I was forced to play that and suffered. Then I switched over to Blurple Dial, right? And then I switched back to blue. And
Yeah.
so but I realized that green's just too strong. It's just really strong, right? So
Green's so good.
it's
Next set, maybe not, but right now, Green's so good.
set 4, very good. But
Oh
even
yeah, is that
beyond.
when it gets the new one that's like kill anything for 6? So that's set 4.
Yeah, that's blue.
Yeah,
I'm
that
talking about
card's so good.
green. I'm talking about green set 4. It
Uh,
will be good. Because they get a lot of good cards, basically. I don't know.
I don't look to the future too much. Like,
I
right
don't
now, I'm
either.
doing OPO3 because I know it's going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Hmm.
Set 4 is just too far away. Like, I can't. My brain doesn't work enough
I
to.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The main thing is a lot of the content I watch, it's all future content. It's never really current content, right?
Right.
Um, and I think there's an algorithm to that, but it is good to have maybe the current whatever's going on. So,
So, well, I'll speak on that a little bit. So, the thing about to me, the Japan metagame is nowhere close to what we play here.
mhm,
Like, the decks they think are the best decks, I think are just nowhere near the best decks here in the
mhm,
US. And I think a lot of people falter when they try to copy lists from Japan and bring them here, and they just lose, and they don't know why. It's because it's just it's almost a different game here, in my opinion.
mhm. I mean, yeah, it's probably treated all different too, right? So, um,
Yeah, like, so, like, culturally, like,
mhm,
it's just played differently.
yeah. Um, So you picked up a lot of green, and then well, did you what treasure you did? You went to some treasure cups, right, at the beginning of in January and February. I also went to
Yes.
Vegas, just so you know. I think you went to
It-
Vegas.
I was there in
Um,
Vegas. I played Kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
How did you do in treasure in that one then?
I finished 8-1 in the Swiss, and I lost my first match of top 16. So I got, top
Okay.
16, but I
Who
didn't get a Luffy.
who did you lose to? What was the deck?
I lost to Luffy.
Luffy.
Um,
Okay. Who's top 4
yeah,
guy? I think there was a Luffy in top 4.
he was top 4.
Okay.
But I did not. play it correctly. Like I will straight up say that I played wrong, and it wasn't really until kind of set 2 dropped that I really started to think about One Piece differently, and that's when kind of my results started taking off more.
Oh. I mean, I actually I thought about One Piece a lot differently too in set 2. What do you think that switch was?
I think the switch was mainly just a little bit of experience and seeing how people react when they're playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want this to sound harsh, but a lot of people I can see the game 3 turns ahead, and I know you're going to lose just based on how you're playing those first few turns.
Sure.
Like if you're protecting your board a certain way or aggressively, like I know you're going to lose, and I know what turn you're actually going to lose based on how you play. And I think that just kind of clicked for set 2 for some reason. Like I don't know, just the card pool got bigger, so it became just like a different game.
Yeah.
Like I think set 2 is just wildly different than set 1, and for a reason my brain clicks with it.
Maybe for the worst too. I'm not sure if it's better than set 1, right? But it's definitely different. What something clicked for me was actually in pre-release for set 2. I realized how simple this game was when I was just playing vanillas and swinging, right?
Sure.
It came down to a lot of easy math and what actually was important in the game, which was your character cards and what you had in your hand, right? And it really how many cards you had in hand and how impactful blockers and 2K counters were. But and then I go back to playing, complicated things where I call things off of skills, rest cards, and I'm like, well, it's the same thing, but just with extra steps at this point.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I feel like this is weird. Okay. I say this a lot. I think Zoro sucks.
Okay.
I think that deck is actively bad.
Yeah.
And and that might be like a lot of people play Zoro. I know people love it, but I think that deck is actually bad. And I think that's just one of the things that shows that we as a team, my team kind of think a little differently about how the game operates. And I attribute that to our current success. Like my teammates won a Treasure Cup and got second at a regional. And we both like, yeah, Zoro's just a bad deck. So I don't know. We just think a little bit differently right now, but the goal for our channel in general is to help people improve their thinking.
Yeah.
We may be wrong, but we want people to just think about the game differently than they are now.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, actually, let's go into that. I mean, Zoro now might be a little bit different than Zoro in set 3. What do you think about that?
What do I think about the set 3 Zoro?
I don't know actually what set 3 Zoro does, to be honest.
I don't either.
So I guess I actually tried to switch to Zoro in the beginning of set 2, and I dropped it as soon as Beats by Ash did well at a case tournament. I think he played against your Smoker, right?
He did. But God, that matchup's so bad.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell me more about that. I'm having a hard time. I guess I have a hard time against a high rolling Smoker only. But so no, this guy, I was making any excuse to play blue because I was not having fun with Zoro, and I just did not know how to use my counter cards very well. I was literally going the wide Oonga Boonga swing for 5 with every single card, and then hope I get the win. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think is good with Zoro? It's obviously still having results, right?
I think it's having results due to sheer numbers.
Okay.
And the people who are proficient with it know how to exploit people who are not good at playing against it.
Okay.
I think that's what gives us good results. I just don't think the deck is good. I think it's pilot more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's hard to play personally. I can't play Zoro mostly because every 2K counter in my hand is like a god card. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to discard this. I'd rather take the 5. You're gonna swing 5K at me. I guess I'll take this damage because I really want to keep this 2K counter. I
feel that's actually one of the things that a lot of people I feel do differently. Is that like I'll take the first like 4 hits. I will drop to 1 life like it's nothing. And a lot of people I'll be like attack for 5 or pitch to. I think that's one of the big things that we see right now that's different between the top players and kind of the people that are coming up is that the willingness to take damage and see extra cards and have more options in the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is the mid game is the most inconsistent because it's where you see the least amount of cards. And if you can take damage to see more cards, then absolutely, right? I think that's a great idea. I actually do that with my Magellan deck for reasons, that you can use Thunder Bagua. Not that it's a really great deck, but it can do sometimes well. But it's interesting because I'm stuck in this Doflamingo mindset where sometimes in the middle of the game, I actually do want to have cards, so I can draw off of Love Mellow. But the deck's already consistent enough with Peronas and things like that you don't even need to take the damage. It just depends.
Yeah, I love the Doflamingo deck. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so good. If it could beat Law consistently, best deck in the format.
I think so too. Yeah. Why does it struggle against Law? Just because their value engine's crazier than ours? Like, I don't know.
That's literally it. So if you tried out value Law, you're gonna have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does everything you try, but better.
And you can't race them.
Efficiency. No.
If you race, you just lose by they have 4 blockers on field at some point.
Right.
Even if I have the 1-cost Dofi, it doesn't really do anything.
No, it doesn't do enough to clear their 4 choppers and their Capania. It's too hard.
And I mean, most time when Law beats me, they have to draw like 3 or 4 of the blocker laws, right? But it depends on the Law player, right? So,
but the thing is, they can do it, right? Because they have like Bonnie and they're returning Bonnie in their hand and playing it again, and so it's not hard for them to get 3 or 4 of the blocker laws.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, so you're going to Ohio, right? Did you know Ohio has a very unique meta going on with it?
No. What's going on in Ohio?
So I believe in Ohio, is it the end of July, like mid-July?
End of June.
End of June.
Uh-huh.
What tournament? Is there a tournament in... Oh, end of June. Okay, yeah, because pre-release comes out sometime that time. It's
the same weekend.
It's the same weekend. But you're still only stuck playing set 2. You cannot play set 3. But technically, actually, the ban list is out. You cannot play boat. So that is the one unique setting where you can't play boat or emoji, but like no one cares, right? Because
we're not playing set 2 Kabaji or whatever it is.
Kabaji, yeah. But yeah, that's still going to be the one unique. You cannot play boat, which I think people play boat to beat Strawbeard most of the time.
Yes, it womps Strawbeard into the dirt.
So what do you think that changes anything specifically for that one, or what people might try?
I don't think so. I think it's still going to be kind of a triangle of people bring Luffy trying to beat Law, and then people bringing things like Whitebeard trying to beat Luffy, and then just fighting that triangle.
I'm actually really liking this current metagame of it's not rock paper scissors, but essentially Law got really popular, and now this Luffy is really popular because it destroys Law with Mass Deuce, right?
Yeah.
And
and Robin and Whitebeard. Oh yeah, Doffy just like.
I mean, I did lose yesterday to a Luffy at locals pretty hard, but like if they draw Dodon into Nami into Zoro, then I'm probably gonna lose. But that's and also go first. It's kind of hard. I had a hard time yesterday if they have that curve.
The thing is, if you go second and you're Dofi, you can still beat them. If you go first against them, you're Dofi, they just never win. They probably win 1 out of 10 games.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's it. You're right. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what happened. I did a couple trial games against him, and it's actually funny. Well, I'll bring this up because I said this before, and it's kind of a testament to how nice of a guy Will is. Okay, I know Jonathan Job. Jonathan Job. He runs a card store, Kayfabe Cards, out here in Utah. Okay, and he actually came to the locals I was at yesterday. Surprisingly. Well, 4-man locals, it was raining kind of hard. It just hasn't been too popular at that local. It's in the middle of...
I'd still go.
It's the middle of everywhere, right? And so he was there, and I'm like, oh, you're here. It's good to see you, man. And so I brought up, I'm talking with Will the Win Gaming. I heard him talking about you in one of his videos. He's like, oh, yeah, we do stuff together. But basically, this is where you met. You guys were playing Magic. You were in some finals, right?
Yeah, we're in the finals of a big tournament.
Big tournament. And he has a deck that has a 10% chance of winning against you, right? Like 90-10, and he just like, hey, do you want to split it? And you were like, you know what? Okay, just a nice, just so much of a nice guy. And since then, you guys have been, I guess, good friends with that, right? And talked about card
Yeah.
games and such.
And,
So
and I like him he's really good for the things outside of the basics of a card game, things that like the psychology of a card game, for instance. Like he's really good at stuff like that. So he's a resource that I'll pick his brain about things that might improve your win percentage, but exist outside of the rule set of the card game.
Do you have like any example you can go over with, or is that on the Patreon? Like, what's?
Oh yeah, no, I have an example. I talked about this. So I was playing the Pure Regionals. I was playing Dofi. You're welcome. And I had 5 cards in my hands. It was 4 1K counters and a 2K counter. Right? That's my whole hand. And my opponent attacks me for 7. Instead of pitching the 2 and the 1, I pitched 3 1Ks. Now, people think about that. They're like, that's wrong because that gives you less options for the next attack. But I did it to feign weakness to make him think I only had 1Ks in my hand, so he'd attack more aggressively that turn.
Mm-hmm.
It was an intentional play to make him think, well, he obviously would use a 2K if he had it, so I'm going to attack like this. And end up, I had the 2K. Yeah, I actually had the 2K and ended up costing him the game. So that's the kind of thing that I learned that directly from Jonathan, like the week before that tournament.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really good. I have a pro tip. Okay. And maybe it's not a pro tip. I only use this. I use this every time, but it only ever works against inexperienced players. Every time I take a damage, I will tell them I will choose not to activate the trigger, right? And sometimes they actually might think you actually have a trigger, right?
I've got 4 jet pistols in hand. All right.
Well, it depends on what it is, right? Obviously, it's a jet pistol. You're going to activate that anyway, you know?
Sure.
But if they don't know exactly what you have, you could see, you know, if you're playing green, it could be Punk Gibson. And you're like, well, actually, this would be better in my hand. Or I guess any other trigger card. Or you don't even have to play. I have played no triggers in my deck, right? Yep. And that will probably come to fruition when it does happen, right? And I definitely think that does mess with your opponent, especially if they're inexperienced. Or even if they're experienced enough, but have never seen that before. But
right, and that's a perfect example. That might work on someone who's not just experienced, someone who's like really high level and very attuned to the game. Like that's a good pro. I mean that's the same thing. That's something that might raise your win percentage outside the rules of the game.
Yeah,
like I like that.
Yeah. Also, I think a lot of people do this too. They'll, on a turn where you would obviously play like a big card, right? You might space your Dawn out differently to make it look like you're going to play a bunch of small cards, doing math, and then doing the big thing, like attacking a certain way. So they might guard it differently, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Most players see through that when you're going to go for like a Mihawk or a Whitebeard, right?
Yeah.
But I can see how it could be really good in Whitebeard when people don't even play Night Cost Whitebeard anymore in some boats, right? Like Tyler. So
yeah, just don't play it because you're taking all the damage. You're gonna be on 0 anyway. You just want to kill them instead of messing around with 9 cost Whitebeard.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's also people don't do this in One Piece because you can use all your Dawn, you can attach it all and make a big attack. But I'll still leave up 2 Dawn to make them think I have a Punk Gibson even if I don't.
Yeah.
Like not enough people do that.
Yeah, you're right. That actually is a pro. It makes them play around it too. Sometimes you might keep it in case you get one out of life, but Saucy has the same mentality. He's been on this podcast a few times. He would have 2 Dawn open and he doesn't even play a Love Mellow, right? And your opponent's for sure. I mean, I've had someone scoop before because they're like, well, you have a Love Mellow in hand. I can't win this. And I go, well, that's funny. I didn't have one. You know? So, yeah.
People might think it's stupid, but like in the end, like the people who are doing these things, they're just going to get that one extra win over 10 tournaments and it's worth it.
Yeah. And actually, you even bring this up. I had my game against you last Saturday. But do you play tomorrow?
I am on the wait list for tomorrow.
So okay. All right. So
no.
So last week I played against you in round 8 And in that game, it's the last thing, you left 3 Dawn open. And I'm thinking a high level play, you don't play this terrible card. You don't play this 6K counter card, which I don't think it would have mattered anyway, right? Regardless. But I had to play like you had a Punk Gibson in hand. So I had to attack a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it didn't quite matter, but it definitely threw me for a weird loop that people don't expect, right? Especially you keeping Dawn up, right? It's obviously
I won 2 games off that day. I won 2 games off in that tournament off that card alone.
Yeah, I did the math after. I wasn't sure if I still would have won against you, even if I attacked the most optimal way, knowing your hand. So
no, I was stacked. My hand was really stacked.
It was good. I don't know if you've watched any of these. I go over all my games, right, when I do well, and so yours is next. But I'm gonna skip yours because I didn't stream our games. I just have my board, right? So I'm gonna have to listen and like make pictures of what was on the board of your side. It's gonna require our game is gonna require a lot of editing, and me like just putting up like a picture of a card.
so I do the same thing. Like I record the games, but it's just my big opponent and then my little screen down there because obviously cheating's been very rampant, and I try to make sure it doesn't happen.
Have you seen my set? I made a video too recently on how to do a setup, so where you can record it and look the way mine is, but then my opponent only sees me, right? I guess I wish I can show you an example.
I need to check that out, and I will check that out.
Yeah, it requires a little bit of setup, but I made it so easy you could just click through and do these things, right? And I live stream it, so you don't have to live stream. You can just hit record. But
right, and people should do that though. Like I should be a little less lazy in my setup, as a lot of players probably could be too.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work, and that's kind of why I did it, because I know it's a lot of work, right? At first,
right?
But I learned how to do it over years of this. And in Vanguard, I was like trying to pick up webcam gaming stuff back when it was back in early COVID, right? I thought, what's the best way to do this? And I had to really tweak it, right? But now I got it just to where I want to, that I think looks best for me. It's just the main thing, I guess, is that, just not enough people watch me, just
that's their problem.
That's their loss,
like,
I suppose.
I definitely watch you.
Oh, appreciate it. You can
You're welcome.
You can watch me tomorrow. Okay, that'd be good.
I'll watch this. My narcissistic just tendencies, but oh yeah, man, that would win game guy's great. Good answer. No, I'm not like that.
Oh, good, kidding. Yeah. So we were talking about Jonathan Job.
Yeah.
I guess you know that from that. I guess he's helped you with other things outside of just actual what to do in situations, or the psychological part. I know you run like a Patreon and a channel, right? Which I forgot to have you plug at the beginning. I'll have you plug at the end, right?
Appreciate it.
With that Patreon and YouTube channel, did you do any content before One Piece at all?
No, not before One Piece. So originally, me and 3 friends, we started a channel for One Piece content. And they kind of treat it like a business, and it just kind of went sour really quickly. It wasn't going a direction that I liked. So I broke off of that to do my own thing, which is now a more passion project as it started. And now it's just kind of like it's just taking off so much faster than I anticipated. Everything's going so good, and it's not like, oh, it's a dream I'm making $5,000 a month or anything like that. I'm not. But I'm having a ton of fun. Yes, right? I'm having so much fun with it. Like I love going to tournaments. People are like, "Hey, you're Will to Win Gaming." Like, yeah, thanks. Come talk to us. Come hang out. Come have fun. Like I like it. I'm not like a celebrity, but I like that people know who I am and recognize what we're trying to do in the game of One Piece to get people to like top level. I want everyone to compete at this top level so we can find out who is truly the best One Piece player.
That's a great goal. Your content's a little, I wouldn't say too hardcore, right? But it is true to what it is, right? It's not trying to pat anybody's backs. It's trying to tell people what the right thing to do is, right?
Yeah. And try to come from a place of experience, right? I'm not trying to speak. A lot of content creators kind of just talk about they just want to get views, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about things I've experienced in 20 plus years of card gaming, and I
Mm-hmm.
want that to be out in the world.
Great. Yeah, and I mean, did you recently get over 1,000 subs right on YouTube? So
Yes, I think we reached 1,000 subs last week, and we're almost at 1,200 this week.
nice, dude. It's really
Yeah,
growing quick too.
yeah.
So that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you guys are blowing up. I think the thing is for YouTube subs, it's not crazy, but for One Piece, the niche of One Piece card game into YouTube, that's really big, right?
Yeah,
So
and we are going to expand. If people are interested, we're going to move into Lorcana, so we'll be
okay.
releasing like 4 videos a week, or 5 videos a week. So we have
Mm-hmm.
other card games on our channel as well. So.
Okay, got it. I mean, that's pretty cool. I think people are interested in Lorcana for maybe financial reasons, right? So
You heard it here first. It's the same thing. I've been on Lorcana since it was announced. All
yeah,
right.
I have some WoW buddies, and this guy plays a lot of card games too.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever do anything with Pokemon?
I did. I went to a couple of games with a couple of things with Pokemon, like state championships.
Mhm.
Nothing really huge. I never went to nationals or
Oh, good.
anything.
Yeah. I never played Pokemon. I just thought I'd ask because somebody might, but with One Piece, so you went to Treasure Cup. What other Treasure Cups did you ever go to? Just the Vegas one?
Let's try to think. I did Vegas. I did a couple online ones.
Mhm.
I've been to all the in-person regionals and treasure
Mhm.
cups that I signed up for. Like we
Yeah.
went to Peoria.
Went to
I
Arlington.
went to Arlington.
Yeah.
Like anything in person, I've definitely tried to go to, and
Mhm.
then anything online that I didn't get, just like
Mhm.
we know how the signups are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's pretty degenerate, actually. Jonathan Job was telling me about that. I'm like, you want me to get you signed up on my fiber, man? I got an extra computer right here.
Hey,
I get
that's a standing offer.
I get into all of them, by the way. I got into all 4 of these last ones. I got into like 2 of the other ones. I failed on 1. Unlucky. I'm just a click god. No, it's a little luck, but
For this month, I actually got into 2 of them,
mhm,
but one I had to go to on a trip with my fiance, so I
mhm.
missed that one, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'm on the wait list for tomorrow.
On the wait list for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did you get into any of the July ones?
Yes, I am playing 2 of them in July.
Which one
I
did you
think
not get into?
I think I didn't do play PPGs.
Me too.
Yeah.
I tried to do it, and I had to press details, right?
Mhm.
When I go to sign up, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I probably had like a 15-second lag to get in there
Right.
because of that. So
In 15 seconds, like 900 people.
yeah, then you're out. Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
not signing up in 5 seconds, that sucks. And I talked about it a bit in my last podcast, right? The main thing is it just kind of is what it is right now as far as the signups go. Bondi's not really going to change it. They might for next year, right? But allocation might be different.
I feel like they're focused on the paper, the in-person stuff more, which to me I support. Like I don't like the webcam stuff
Mhm.
for a lot of reasons, mainly being the cheateries.
Mhm.
But yeah, I hope they focus more on the paper stuff personally.
Mhm.
But I understand not everyone can travel, so
Yeah. I I am in the bit of the opposite boat. Basically, I don't want to spend a lot of money on travel, right? And
sure, that's
so
understandable.
I still want to play the game, right? So I think it really helps out in that regard. I just think definitely they need to have, if they had more regionals, that I would probably go to ones that are near me, right? I
Right.
don't need one in my home city in Salt Lake City, right? But if they had more in Las Vegas or maybe
Mhm.
like Denver, I don't want to go to California, but California, and actually with that, you already have your Nats invite from Peoria. Is that the one you got your Nats invite from?
Yeah. So I made top 8 of an online regional. I don't
Oh,
actually remember. I went made top 8 of an online regional before Peoria.
yeah.
So that's where I got my invite. And
Okay.
then yeah.
How did that work? Did the next person just get the invite, I suppose?
Yes, it
Okay.
passes down, which I love about this game.
Mhm.
Like that should how it be in every game where it passes
Mhm.
down.
my question is, as far as that goes, you have your invite to Nats. I don't know a lot about Bondi. Do you know where that might be? Like, is that just gonna be in California, like Convention Center, like Anaheim, or?
My guess is Vegas.
That would be really good because that's
Yeah.
cheap. It's cheap to go to Vegas, no matter where you're
Yeah.
at.
And stay in Vegas. Like, they want you there, right? They want to get you there so you gamble. So it's all
I have
cheap.
family in Vegas too, so it was really cheap for me to go to Vegas when I went there.
Yeah, I'm gonna come stay with you. You're about to get your Nats invite, right?
Oh, dude, let's go!
Hey, I'm down. If you want to go Gen Con together, I just signed up for those.
Yeah, how do you have to like get into the? How does that work? By the way, I mean that's already filled up, right?
Yeah, So when signups went up, I clicked. So you make a wish list to get all your tickets at once. So when I hit add these to my cart, I think I was number like 6,000 in the queue. Like, it was massive.
I mean, Gen Con's just a big con, and One Piece is going to be the little thing in the corner.
Sure. Right? Yeah.
I mean, and there's what kind of tournament? It's not like a regional, right? That's just like a fan tournament where they have boxes and stuff, or
no? There's a regional and a treasure cup.
A regional and a treasure cup.
Yes, a Thursday is a regional and Friday is a treasure cup.
512 each. Is that right?
Yeah, 512 each.
Yeah, you got into both.
I did. My fiance are in both, and Ty actually only got into one, unfortunately. For him.
Unlucky, dude. He needs some of that magic from you. There's this pro strat this guy told me. So round 9, the round after I faced you. Okay. He said there's a desktop, Google Chrome desktop. It's an extension. It's called Page Monitors. If you're on a page, if something changes, it'll flash on there, right? If it changes, it doesn't like auto sign you up, right? It's not like a bot,
right?
But he says he did that, and he's gotten to every single online one, right?
So I guess as soon as it goes live, you just go over and click, and
yeah, but you don't have to like spam refresh. It's just it'll light up right away. You can spam refresh on one while waiting for the other ones, and that's maybe how we got into Carta Magica. That one was the most ridiculous one that happened, and we were both in that tournament, right?
Yeah. What did they use to sign up? What is it, Tixar, or they?
No, that was I believe that one may have been RK9. It may have been Tixar for Carta.
I remember. So one of them, I clicked it, and it froze, and I was like, okay, I'm not getting in, right?
Yeah.
But then like 3 or 4 minutes later, I refreshed the page and clicked it again and said you're in.
Yeah. Carta Magica was the one where they had issues. PPG was at the same time. They also had issues. And Carta Magica said, we will postpone till 9 p.m. tonight. We'll do the sign up tonight. And then 5 minutes later,
they put it up.
And I didn't even know. I was at my desk with 4 other people in Discord because we're waiting anyway for the next one. And this guy, they're literally playing like Overwatch or whatever together. And there's like, oh, Carta's up. And I'm like, what? So I went to Carta, and the people quit over that scenario. And people quit every time a sign up comes up online, by the way. It will happen. But over that one, people are still mad. I think a YouTube content creator, I think he still makes content. He just doesn't take the game too seriously. I think his Blackbeard's his thing, right? I don't know if you know that guy. But yeah, he made a video saying he was pretty upset because he really wanted to go to the Carta one because that worked out for him only. The other weeks he was too busy, right?
Right.
Which I get it, but it was just like, it's just kind of funny because I'm just like, damn, that really sucks. It's like really bad publicity for Carta right now.
I mean, I understand it's like a crapshoot. It is, but the thing is, like, Bandai doesn't really have to do these webcam tournaments, and that's the thing. Like that's how I feel to me. Yeah. I like webcam and all. It's just if they had like a program, like even they just use the sim, they use the fan made sim, I'd be all for it. I think it's way better to do that than webcam.
I prefer the actual cards. It's just there's a lot of negatives and positives, right? Positives, you can actually have the cards. The negatives are you have to watch your opponent, right?
Right, and there's been a lot of cheating videos lately.
Yeah, I can only think of like 3 right? 2 from the same guy, Jesse, and 1 from another guy, Steven. And 1 playing Whitebeard, 1 playing Kinemon. Have you seen
The
any other
Whitebeard
ones?
I've seen like a lot of the Digimon ones coming out. Just,
Oh,
I mean, same thing, right? Like one where a guy just has like 5 cards in his hand, and his hands go like this, and he comes back down. He has like 15 cards in his hand. I'm just like,
hey, what
obviously you
turn
get
is it?
caught. Yeah, it's like obviously you get caught, but still the
Yeah.
fact that not everyone will catch that. Like,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, eventually they will get caught, right? Which I'm sure those players have already got like mega banned, but you have to be
I hope
careful. You
so.
have to play your opponent's game for them, right?
Right.
So, which is rough because I mean, I've definitely had people misuse their Dawn. I've misused my
Yeah.
Dawn before on accident.
Sure.
Where I should have had. I used an extra Dawn that I should have. But then I went over. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that. Right, but
And and that'll
that's
happen on
different.
webcam more, right? That's going to happen. It could happen in person, but it's going to happen on
Mhm.
webcam more because you don't have like you're focusing on your opponent too and your
Mhm.
board instead of just focusing on what you're doing.
Yeah, I think a good thing is just to get used to playing a webcam more. They have the webcam server, but it's kind of hard because have you ever tried to play against casual games on this webcam server that they have?
I
It's
don't think I would dare.
it's it's really bad because most of the time the players you're going to be facing, they're new to the game, they're very slow, they're not used to webcam, they have a
Right.
bad setup, they have stuff going on in the background, right? You can't just play against random people. You have to maybe know a small group, right?
Yeah.
And then join a channel and then play with them. And that's something I struggle with actually quite a bit is playing casual games. I do get
I'm the
pretty
same way.
impatient. I get very, very
Yeah.
impatient, right? So especially when it's a brand new card game, that's one thing. But if they play this card game quite a bit, right?
Right.
Why does it take them so long to make their move? That's why I like a lot of experienced players. You play really quick.
Ashby.
Yeah,
Ashby is the slowest player on the
is
planet.
he?
Yes. Sorry, Ashby. He's
Calm
so
down.
slow.
I've actually never played a game against him, so
Yeah.
um, really, okay. Where does the thinking come? Oh, because you play so many card games at this. Sometimes it tricks up your opponent. If opponent takes way too long against me, I might forget what the top of my deck was. Right.
Yeah.
So, right. And I've almost quit card games over people playing too slow. Right. So
It does tell me too. A
yeah.
little bit.
But
Not in a tournament, but
yeah, Saucy also says he plays pretty slow. But the thing is, you can only play faster. But this game, it's kind of frustrating, right? We have this 40-minute time limit, 35-minute time limit for this card game, right? And that's a
right.
lot of time. And it is an accurate amount of time for slower players. But the problem is, even a fast player like myself, I'm tending to slow down because I don't need to be fast. I just need to be fast enough, right?
Right.
And I've definitely made mistakes. I didn't think about a move for 30 seconds, right? But those are usually like at non-pivotal parts where there's actually more than one thing to do. So,
I think it's really advantageous if like you're a fast player. So if you could try to roll this into your gameplay is try to make your opponent play fast. If your opponent's slow and you're
mhm.
a fast player, if you keep speeding up, you might get them to speed up even though they don't realize it and cause
Mhm.
them to make mistakes. I mean that's kind of just another thing you can do outside of like the game. That's a random
That's
tangent, but
no, that's really smart. I've done that before where all of a sudden I was at turn 4, we're in the game 1 minute in like a big tournament, right? So
yeah,
because there was nothing for us to do, and I feel like I sped up because the other player was speeding up. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, I get. I guess you could go even further to do things to your opponent. You're not doing anything to your opponent that's outside the rules, right? Um,
Right.
and we're not saying like don't smell
Hurry
like
up.
don't smell like a bad smelling player, right? Not like that,
Yeah.
right? That would
Yeah,
definitely
that
affect your opponent,
I
but
think that's against the rules actually. Let's
yeah.
make that against the rules if it's not.
Well, actually, I don't smell bad enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I suppose.
You're seeing like just nasty cheeses and pickles and drinking coffee and just like, hey, can you go faster? I wouldn't do that. That's so rude.
Or chewing gum. Something really obnoxious. You know, Vegas was the ultimate test. The venue was breaking the rules at that point.
Oh,
It was
man.
that it was so loud, girls shaking their ass everywhere because there was a bunch of streamers, you know. It was
Yeah. It's like next to a rave party. I'm like, I
yeah.
understand where we're at, but I'm trying to play a card game here.
Yeah. It wouldn't have
What?
been so bad if they were probably 30 feet more that way, you know?
Right.
But they
But
were
the speaker was
touching
like
us.
blasting us. Like it was like right on the player base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a little that was a unique setting. I don't think we'll ever have a tournament that small ever again, too. 252, right?
256. 256.
Yeah, we'll never
That's like
have
all of Europe. All of Europe is 256 for the most
really.
part.
Oh.
Yeah, they do a lot of 256 instead of 512.
I don't know. Is 512? What if they had two pods of 256 instead, right? And increased pricing. I don't know. Is that fair? Is it hard to win a tournament? Is that too easy? Right?
I think it's the same. It's just it's hard to do with the pricing being serialized. Like you can't double the amount of Luffy's you're giving out because there's a limited number, and that's why they have value.
Yeah, and they're making the Shanks one. I think it's at a 1600 though.
1600, yeah.
They're making a lot more, which is odd. Where they're making a Shanks, right?
It's ugly too, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's ugly, and it's already has very other alt art kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And people are not gonna play that generally, right? So,
but I will say, if they're making 1600 of them and they're just doubling the amount of tournaments they run, that's a good step. That's like a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's just a price support for like 4 sets, you know?
Sure, that could be it too. I hope not.
I hope not too.
Shank's ugly. The admirals are cool. I want 4 of every admiral.
Oh, okay. Do you have like a soft spot for a deck right now? Is it at all, or is it just are all your decks blinged out? Is only one deck blinged out?
All my for at least right now, I have everything blinged out. I just picked up my second Manga Ace, so my fiance's deck's blinged out now too. I don't have a soft spot for a deck now. I do for the next set because I think this deck. I personally think that Rob Lucci is going to be insanely good here. Not the Navy version, the CP9 version.
CP9 version. Okay, I'm interested. What do you need now that you should be picking up now for that deck?
I don't think there's anything. I think Sakazuki is the only thing for it because like it doesn't even my version. I don't even run Kuzan. I think Kuzan's pretty bad.
Not even 4 cost.
Nope, not even 4 cost. Okay. 0 Kuzan.
What about Shockwaves trial deck
stuff? For Shockwave, the key to the deck's actually I don't know what it's called in English, but the Japanese one's called Air Door, I think.
Okay.
And that card is broken.
What does it do again?
You look at your top 5 and you get a CP9 that costs 5 or less and put it into play. It's an event.
Top 5 or less into play. How much does it cost?
Costs 4. Oh. The event costs 4.
The event costs 4, but it places a 5 off the top 5.
Yes, and it is so good.
Okay.
Here's an example. Like, there's a new, I think it's called Kaku, and he's a 5 for 6K. When he comes into play, put 2 CP9 on the bottom of your deck, and you destroy something that costs 3 or less.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of times I'm playing on Sim, and they play, I don't know, Zoro, or Rush Zoro, and I'm like, Air Door, and I get a 6K into play, and I can put 2 CP9 on bottom because all the cards go to your discard and kill the Zoro. So essentially, you played 4 Dawn to kill his guy and put a 6K into play.
What do you think this deck struggles against?
Right now, I have not found anything that's really struggled against. Of course, I'm playing on the Sim where I think the level is a little lower because people
the lowest.
Yeah, because there's nothing on. I think if it becomes big in set 3, I think Film Kid will be difficult for sure.
Okay. Does Film Kid change at all in set 2? Doesn't really get any support, right?
Nope. So. Same deck, but I think he'll still be strong in set 3.
Well, I know just the big thing is that Whitebeard gets more stuff, and then Ace is a deck, right? I'm not sure how good Ace is. I know people like Ace, so people will definitely play him.
I think Ace is better than Whitebeard. I think Whitebeard is a little overhyped for next set. That's one of the things that most people play on the sim is Whitebeard, and there's been just beating it down. Like, it hasn't been close. I think Isho is really one of the big cards that Black gets. I think the card's nuts.
Okay. Well, Isho. Okay.
He's the Isho? Isho, yeah. Okay. Have you seen what it does?
No. What does it do?
Okay. Sorry. It costs 8. It's a 9K.
Okay.
When it comes into play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards, they trash 2 at random. Yep, in hand. So it trashes 2 cards out of their hand at random.
Does it cost anything when you play, or just play 8?
Just play 8.
Okay.
And it's a 9K that they have to trash 2 at random if they have 6 or more.
It has to be random. That's great. That's the random part's great because I play purple and I don't like playing cards that make you discard because they can choose the card, right?
Right.
In which they usually just discard like their bullshit. So
right. That's why discard's really generally not good.
You do that. I can't do that twice back to back. I mean, unless they draw a bunch of cards. But I mean, how many decks have less than 6 cards when you go to like 9 Dawn? Not a lot.
Not a lot. Even Zoro tends to have, they tend to take a hit or two. And
unless you're fighting for board. That's the only time. And you're playing Black. You're already. I don't know. Does it remove a lot, basically, the deck itself, or is it just the fact that Rob Lucci has a double attack? And
it's the fact that Rob Lucci has a double attack. It still plays my version plays Sakazuki, the 6K. I don't play any Kobe's, so none of that. But so it's pretty good at removing board. The thing is, if they fight for board and they're trying to get under Isho, now they have no cards in hand, and you just know what you have all this information now, right? So it's they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't scenario.
Have you looked into yellow as well?
Yes, I did a video on Big Mom. I think Big Mom is slightly better than Katakuri to me. I do think yellow is very strong. Basically, off the 10-drop Big Mom, that card's nuts. Like, I think it's better than Whitebeard, even the Edward Newgate.
Yeah. I'm gonna be building yellow. Yellow's my favorite real life color, right?
Okay.
But I'm definitely stuck playing a version of Doflamingo just because I did okay in one tournament, right? So
I think Dofi's gonna be strong next set.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah. I don't even think you change anything. I think it's just gonna be strong.
I mean, you're gonna be putting 3,000 door in the deck, but I don't know what you take out.
So, is that the bottom of 5?
Yeah, it's basically a jet pistol. Bottom of 5. Yeah. So, and it has trigger on it. So, but I don't know what you take out. You definitely got to do something, right? But
yeah, it's probably, to me, it's the so you run the baby Dofi. Yeah. I run Desert Spada. So that's probably the slot for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I run 4 Love Mellow. Maybe I can run 3 instead.
No, that card's too good. Don't cut that card.
Don't cut that card. Okay.
Yeah, that card's too good.
So I should still run 3 Mihawks because that's how you win games. But
yeah, actually, for this set, I moved up to 4.
For this set?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still worried about Zoro, and so when everything's so low to the ground, sometimes that hurts. But
if you're worried about Zoro, we're gonna have a training session, me and you, because I do not lose that deck with Dofi. Like, okay. I do not lose Zoro.
Yeah,
it does not matter.
I'm worried about a random cheese, basically, and I mean, I'm sure Luffy will still be a deck in that set, right?
Yeah, maybe
it can't get worse, right? But Whitebeard gets better too, even without everything else, because you just have your what do you call it? Your Marcos. So
yeah, that new Marco is actually just a super good card. even though I think that new Marco hurts, I think Law will still be pretty good next set also.
Yeah, that's actually yeah. Did you ever like really pick up Law or play a lot of Law? How what's your general feelings about Law since the game came out?
Law is a really good deck. Um, I just hate the way it plays. Like I think the deck is top tier,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's very beatable unless the pilot is just like Cross, for instance. Like
Mm-hmm.
Cross is nuts with the deck, so I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the only instance the deck is not easily beatable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I just choose not to play it. So
Okay.
it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit how I play One Piece,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think people put enough stock into playing decks that fit their play style versus playing
Sure.
the best deck in the format.
Yeah. I I have found, and mainly because in set one I lost a lot to it, right? And in set two I have a better matchup because I have Jinbeis, right?
Yeah.
I have no sympathy toward any Law player, right? They could be a brand new player or even experienced player, make an honest mistake, and I have no sympathy toward Law basically.
No,
But
beat him down.
I think it's just that strong of a deck,
It
um,
is.
realistically, and they're playing a different game, right, compared to the rest
Yeah.
of One Piece, and yeah, it's very frustrating to see it go off um and do things right, and yeah, and every card is a support card for Law. I feel like any low green or red card, the low cost cards, will just end up being Law support, right?
Yeah.
And
It
I
might be the first leader to get banned, in all
banned
honesty.
banned or rotted. I think
Yeah.
the biggest issue I have with it is actually the 5 cost with it, right? Because it goes
Mhm.
so well together, and I feel like I talked about this with Garrett too. If you had me on some design team, I would maybe redesign that card, the 5 cost at the very least, right? To say if you pick up a card, you can't put down a card that costs more. So if you pick up a 1 cost, you can't put down a 3 cost. You can only put down a one.
Mhm.
So that's where I find like it kind of nuts picking up an Otama to like put down a Zoro, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes all your 2K, because all the 2K counters are very strong cards actually that you don't want to
Right.
play because you want them in your hand, but you get to do both. And
Yeah.
that's where I find it being really strong, especially red and green. They have like all the best 2K counters in the game as far as impactful, right?
Especially red. Yeah. Red's got all the good ones. I honestly think if you just made the Shambles ability cost 3, it would go
Yeah.
a long way to
Yeah.
making it competitive still, but it's just for some reason whenever I see it play and it's always that two cost shambles
Mm-hmm.
that makes it broken. I think if it cost 3, it'd be perfectly balanced, but still very strong.
Yeah. I
But
guess
Bandai probably won't do that.
they probably won't do that. Like I don't see it in a world where they ever errata Law. If it if it was is it just because of the character too, or is it because of the or just because of the game? Like if this card was, I always say if this card was Magellan but had the same ability, would they be quick to nerf it? Right?
Yeah,
Uh,
no one likes Magellan. No one likes it in the game, out of the game. Yeah, no one likes Magellan. It's because it's law. There's definitely fan favoritism. That's why Red's so good.
mhm. The strange thing is too, like they design this game, right? And they make what the card skill does, and then they make what the card name is and the art, right? And everything could
Mhm.
have just been switched in every way, right? And we could be seeing a whole different look at the very least, right?
Ramp Zoro.
Yeah, yeah, and Ramp Zoro. No, everyone's playing purple. Unfortunately, purple doesn't get any love anymore, right? It's
It's
just
dead at least through OP3. I've already tried purple every which way in set 3, and it's just
mhm. OPO4, OPO5. I heard it's there's gonna be a straw hat in set 5, I think, for purple, right? Purple straw hat in set 5. That's like a
is
leak.
there. That's
Yeah,
so far.
yeah.
How do we know that? Oh, I guess it's at
Set
Japan,
yeah,
right?
set 4 just came out,
Yeah.
so yeah. So I don't know what that would even involve, but it doesn't matter. It's purple, right? It's going to cost
Yeah.
minus Dawn. And I actually don't mind playing Magellan because of this. You never really hit 10 Dawn if you're playing it right and you're going to
Yeah.
win. But it's just sometimes it's very expensive and you can't even use Dawn to attach, right? Law's the same way. You never actually get to use Dawn to attach to attack with. But other decks that play the same game, like with like Zoro or Luffy or Doflamingo, you actually attach Dawn to attack with, which I think is the right way.
Brook. Like red has Brook, and that card's so strong in Law, right? Because you get to do, you get a guy out there you get to attach to Dawn, and you get to just shambles it back later.
So let's see here. You're going to Ohio. Did you get into the July ones? You got to the July ones.
Two of the July ones. Going to Ohio. Both at Gen Con.
Gen Con. Okay. And then, I mean, I guess right now you're working. I didn't really. I have never subscribed to your Patreon yet. Okay, yet, right? Can you tell me about that? Like, what kind of content and how often are you posting on there, or is it people request things? Do you do live coachings?
I do. Okay, I think our Patreon's like the coolest thing going on right now for us. So we have a $5 a month. That's just like, hey, thanks for helping us. You know, it's a cup of coffee a month if you go to Starbucks. $10 a month gets you deck list help. I know a lot of people have constraints on budget and within their collection. If you just message us with your deck and what you have, we'll help you fix that. That's probably our least popular tier, to be honest. But once you start getting higher, we have $15 a month gives you custom video guides. So people will be like, hey, I'm struggling. I'm playing Law. I'm struggling against Whitebeard. What can I do? And we have 4 coaches here, and we'll make you a video just for you on how to play that match. It's like a 15-minute video, how to mulligan, if you should go first, go second, what you should look for your opening hands, how you should play it, like everything. That's our most popular. People requesting a lot of video guides. And then at $35 a month, we do coaching. Like you can either play with us on the sim or we'll do webcam. Just that's kind of up to whatever the patron wants to do.
Nice, yeah. I mean, I guess, are you trying, is it all sorts of different people? Are you making their best better? What exactly, or is it just brand new players?
It's all sorts. We had our very first patron. He was a guy who topped a treasure cup already, but he saw what we were doing. He's like, I want to get better. And we've also had people that are just like, hey, I just picked up the game last week. I really like your Film Kid deck. I'm going to my locals. Can you make a game guide for me? And that's actually what I'm doing after we're done here, because I'm making him a guide on Film Kid.
Okay.
So yeah, it runs the gambit. And it's honestly been like one of the coolest things, because we have our own Discord. And so we'll go into our Discord and we'll find our patrons are actually playing with each other, on the sim or over webcam. And so everyone's kind of learning with each other, and then we help out when we can.
Okay. Yeah, no, it sounds like not just a great community, right? Because they just want to get better, but on top of that, you're trying to provide value to that, right? Because
like I want people to get better. Like that's our overall goal, is just like introduce consistency and better gameplay for people that want to get better. Like you can play casually, I have no problems with that, but for us specifically, we will make you a better player.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thing to try to do as well, mainly because not just financially, but think about how much time you're spending playing this game, right? Not just you, but the casual player. Let's say they go out to their locals twice a week, and then maybe want to do something like a big regional every now and then, right? That's like at least probably 6 or 7 or 8 hours of their time a week at low rates, right? Low timing. And then with that, if they spend a little bit of time and I guess a little bit of money, right? It's not about the money really. They're just paying for your time at that point, right?
Right.
You're able to at least improve their gameplay, which doesn't kind of improve their lives and their time, right? It's
hopefully,
like
that's our idea, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to improve your gameplay, and a lot of people have been very receptive. Like a lot of people have been like, I never thought about the game that way. I went to my local, I went 4-0. Thank you. And I'm hoping that continues to grow. I just want to reach as many people as possible in this community, because honestly, One Piece is the best card game community I've been to so far. Because I run into a lot of bad people over the years, but not
Mhm.
so much in One Piece.
Yeah. I, I was thinking that too. I wanted to talk about other card game communities a little bit, right? Because this one is overwhelmingly positive, right? The only
Yes.
downside is when an online regional comes up and people can't sign up for it, right? Then the whole community's on watch.
Yeah, we're all pitchforks and torches at that point, but otherwise, yeah, like people love One Piece. People love to go play it, and
Mm-hmm.
I've just met a lot of people that I really like in this community for sure,
Mm-hmm.
including you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm glad we're able to come at least a little bit of friends like this way. And you're able to join me today. Um, but that's the main thing I'm concerned about with the communities. Actually, it's really good, and I don't think cheating will always exist. Okay, online, right? I guess that's
Absolutely.
people's main thing, right? But people know what to kind of look out for, and it does deter cheating in a lot of ways, right?
Right.
Especially if you tell your opponent, "I will be recording this," right?
Yeah,
Um,
even if you're not recording, just tell them you are, and
yeah.
that might deter them.
Oh, dude, big. That's one of the
Yeah.
ways you can mess with their head, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna post this on my YouTube, so if you
Don't
screw up, you're gonna look
don't you know
stupid.
who I am? I'm live
Yeah.
streaming this right now. Yeah. I, I did have an
Or-
opponent cheat against me one time. He was playing Kinemon. He misused his Dawn. It would
yeah.
not have mattered. I beat him though, but it would not have mattered, right? Um. But my chat immediately said something. So if you even want something even better, have someone watching your back, right, while you're
Yeah.
playing.
And I think people will have to learn, like, even people like me who are hyper competitive,
Mhm.
when you're on webcam, you have to be a little more lenient for those type of things because
Yeah,
they're not cheating. They're just it's different than if you're face to face. Like that's just another thing you have to live with webcam. Like you shouldn't
yeah,
be. I'm not saying you should let them break the rules, but you have to understand that things might happen a little differently simply because you're on webcam.
yeah. And a lot of these players on webcam too, they're not exactly your highest competitors, right? Because they're just happen to be the
Sure.
first person who clicked,
Sure.
right? So they may not have that etiquette, right? Generally, even especially in the early or even in the later rounds. Trust me, I've definitely faced against players I thought I was surprised that they didn't have the kind of player etiquette, right? But they were like in round
Right.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
So it just
What you're
that
saying is my win doesn't mean anything.
no,
Dang.
no, not to talk down any wins, right? Also, with that, I lost my first round that tournament, and I think if I beat you that 8th game and then won the 9th game, I probably wouldn't have gotten top 8. I probably would have got like 9th.
Nah.
So it
Yeah. If you
worked
lost
out for the
the first round,
best. It,
yeah,
that it
you'll get
worked
it
out for the
next time.
best. Who you faced a Luffy round 9, right?
Yes, which was just. I mean, that match was so easy for film kids, especially when
Yeah.
I won the die roll. It's just.
Yeah, it was just a game. Yeah. I had a game against Whitebeard and it wasn't too crazy either. So,
Mhm.
but
I I think that the Luffy I played in the ninth round was the only time through the whole tournament I got to play the 7-drop Luffy into Brook into Nami on curve, and I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just like you're just dead.
yeah, yeah, that makes a feel, dude. I remember seeing film in pre-release and saying, I can see how this is good, but eight drop kid was still in people's minds, and
Yeah,
so people thought that you can't really replace that, you know, but it's obviously very strong, right? So
yeah, it is. And it's really to me just backed up also by the kid leader itself.
mhm. I
Like that leader ability is so
would
good.
you say Basil carries this deck a little bit, right? I mean, I think it did a lot of work in OPO1, right?
Yes.
But in
It,
OPO2 with this, people are just didn't it just did Basil's hell of a card, right? So
in certain matchups, yes. I think Basil is like that is the card you mulligan for is Basil Hawkins. I mean,
mhm.
like especially against Law, and when I played against you, that was the card I was looking for.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strong.
yeah, it's
Uh
super strong.
hmm, I don't even know what to do against that card, to be honest, half the time. You just have to hope they don't draw it sometimes. Or me
Yeah, I mean,
mulligan.
Yeah, like that's what I said. When we played, I was very fortunate you didn't draw a Mihawk because I would have been just dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've actually considered, 7-cost Doflamingo. That's the
Yeah,
only time I'd ever play. That'd be if I had a sideboard. I would put that deck in my that'd be my sideboard because of
yeah,
Basil Hawkins, right?
yeah.
But even then, like when you see a kid, you don't know if it's film or wall kid, right?
Right.
So
Where if you put it against like regular kid, it's just useless, right?
yeah, it's so bad. Oh my god, I hate that card. And Soja King's coming. I'm like, I don't think I should touch this card, right?
No.
No, you don't think so? Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, hopefully I don't pull a mango one. So we'll be good.
Yeah, it's still a free $28 or whatever that card's gonna be.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about at all?
Um, Not in particular. I mean, I hope people enjoyed our conversation. It'd be
Yeah.
something I talk about. This isn't exactly my forte, but I hope people enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes. I bet you didn't even think how much time went by, right?
Oh no, I actually thought about that at some point. I was like, have we been talking? Because I make my videos, like, have we been talking long enough? Is it long enough? Hour and 40 minutes? No.
Do you watch any other like podcasts or anything like that? Like any feedback for that? Because I listen to most of them, right?
Mhm.
The Worst Generation has one, and they're a little fast, right? They're limited on time, and so
Oh,
they're trying to get news out as well, right?
right.
Instead of having a conversation, I'm trying to make it more about the person I'm talking to and myself because I love talking about myself, right? So
Hey, who
much.
doesn't, right?
But a lot of the time, it ends up being kind of confusing, and especially there's things like tournament reports, right? I think your
Right.
tournament report's just fine. Make it a 10-minute video, 15-minute video
Yeah. You don't need.
about
There's not
that.
that much to talk
But
about,
if it's in
right?
a podcast, it's kind of hard to go over specific moves and mindsets, right? Because it's hard to go to visualize that, especially
Yeah.
to someone who's never played the card game, or even worse, someone who's played the card game but doesn't play that deck, right? So I can't
Right.
even think about that curve. So
Um, I I tend to not uh listen to other things or watch other things. And the
mhm.
main reason was in the past, like in Magic or other card games, I was really bad at building decks, so I never tried to be on the forefront of
Yeah.
what's winning a tournament. But for One Piece, I'm actively trying to focus on things unique to me, like Basil Hawkins, for instance. I don't know how if any of the other film kids are playing it, and I think they're playing like one if they were. So I'm trying to be the guy who builds the decks that win the tournaments and be on the leading edge, and it doesn't leave a lot of time for me to look at other things because I don't want to like steal ideas or
Mm,
let's try to do everything on my own
sure.
for this game.
Sure. I mean, I think you have a good head for it. I mean, the thing is, too, you're not like you're not already theater crafting for set 4. You're just playing the game and you're trying to not lose, right? That's
Right.
and that's where it kind of comes down to. And you don't have to net deck things, right? But you know what's good and what's not and what works. So
Right. And that's ultimately like I just want to be consistent and just continue to make content and hopefully win.
is there any content that you watch that you like to watch generally? Do you watch content at all?
There's not a lot. I mean, it's mainly just because I've been so busy. I think
Mm-hmm.
whenever I have like some more dead time, I like to watch Cross just because
Okay.
he's kind of animated. I like the
Yeah.
animated people, you know.
Yeah.
So
Does he like live stream or something, or is it just watching his YouTube
yeah,
videos?
I was watching his YouTube videos. I I was staying against live stream. I try to watch them, but a lot of them just the quality isn't there for me just yet. I
Yeah.
think when people start to get more popular and have better setups, I'll be more into watching the
Mm-hmm.
live stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like Eggman, like I like trying to watch his stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just the setup's not there for me. And that's a
Oh,
big thing.
yeah. I think that's a big thing. Yeah, having it visually appealing, right?
Yeah,
So I don't know what that would really include, though. It has to be clear, right?
yeah,
Um, and I don't think Sim is very nice for that, right? And on top of that, not only does it have to look good, it has to also be good, right? You can't just
right.
have two random people that actually ends up being how it is. The highest quality stuff sometimes end up being with like some of the worst players, right?
Right.
And that's just
Like,
how it goes. Not like you though. I saw your stuff and I saw how high quality sometimes the video is, and you have an
we have a
editor, right?
mix, right? Yeah, like we have a mix. Like the stuff when we get to do tournament reports and make deck techs out of my house, which we're doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
we do go all out. We have 3 cameras. We have a lot of expensive camera equipment, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm slowly working on it. I'm actually using the money from the Patreon to get more equipment so I can make sim videos and make them more high quality
Mm-hmm.
by myself. So that's actually where a lot of the Patreon money is going, just improving the channel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Okay.
my camera guy has $30,000 in camera gear. I do not. you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I think that's one thing that sets your channel a little bit apart is how insane high quality like a look is. You know, when they first get into the video,
Yeah.
and I told you that's what threw me off about one of your tournament reports. I'm like, why is this? Why is this so thrown together? I was really confused. Am I on the right channel? That's
So my
so.
so my camera guy has actually worked on Marvel movies before.
Mhm.
If that gives you an idea of
Yeah,
how
of how
how
nice it
intense
is.
he is. Yeah. Like he
So
knows his stuff. So
yeah, and I mean it looks good. Tell him it looks really good. So he probably already knows, but
yeah.
um. So you like to watch Cross's stuff. So you've never listened to anyone else's podcast before? I don't know if you've listened to my last podcast or anything
I
yet.
did. I watched one with Ashby and Saucy. I,
Mhm.
I try to watch Ashby. He's so intense for me. Like I feel like
Yeah.
he's screaming at me when I'm watching his stuff.
I listen. I love Ashby. Okay, and I didn't ask him this personally, right? And I should have, right? This might be me blasting him right now. Okay, he blinks a lot. You ever notice that?
Yes,
His comments said that, so it's just funny.
he's just like a very, and if you meet him in person, he's like that in person. That's not like his
Mhm.
podcast persona. He's just a very, I don't know if he is intense, but he comes across as very intense
Mhm.
when he just
Mhm.
the way he talks, his mannerisms in general. So
Yeah. And I hope he keeps up with it because he's pretty funny. That's that's to
I
me,
love
this
Ashby.
is like the funniest guy I know all of a sudden. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
like him a lot. He's really cool.
yeah, and then you haven't met Saucy yet, but he got like top 4 in Peoria, not in Peoria, in the other one, Montreal, playing Doflamingo.
Montreal. Okay.
And I started his podcast. I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I talked with him, right? And he has a
Wow,
very
didn't hit me
interesting
up.
yeah, well, I didn't know you yet, right? So
Okay.
but I talked to him and he was just down, but he's a really chill dude, right? So that's the main thing. Before we talk about anime, because this is going on pretty long, I'm just mostly worried about your time. You said there's 3 big locals around you. Like, how far do you have to go to like go to one of these locals?
The furthest is 20 minutes. So it's
20
like
minutes.
20 minutes, 10 minutes, and one that's right up the
Do you
street.
to go to all 3? Do you go to once a week? One of these a week? Is it been dying
Uh,
down?
it kind of depends. Whenever we're playtesting for a tournament, we tend not to go to locals. We do a lot of internal testing with the team. Just because I don't want our deck list to get out before a big tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think people would, but if someone locally sees it, they're like, "Hey, this is cool," and then post about it on a website, then it might get out, right?
Yeah.
So that's between tournaments, we tend to not play a lot locally. But if there's something not going on for like a month, then yeah, I'll play 3 or 4 times a week for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Like we take our playtesting very seriously. Like we want to win tournaments. That is our
Mm-hmm.
goal. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Do you mostly? I mean, do you focus on every matchup or on specific things? Is it a meta calling at some point?
it's
Uh.
we focus on everything meta. So I have everything in the game meta built right now. Like even things I
Mm-hmm.
don't think are good, like Smoker. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we just go through and play test
Okay.
everything.
With that in your playtesting, what do you think is like the hardest mirror match?
Uh, the OP1 style kid.
Oh,
The
yeah, that's not
it,
fun. That's not a fun game.
it's miserable.
That's why I didn't pick up green, by the way, in OPO1. I thought about it, and then I'm like, I don't want to play against. I don't want to play against that.
Yeah, it's awful. Like I don't like that deck, but it's something
Mm-hmm.
we test with just to get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
The only The only thing we don't playtest is Zoro.
Really?
I know I've been bashing on Zoro so much, but yeah, we don't even have it built because we just don't think it's
it's
good.
the most represented deck, unfortunately, right?
Sure, and
So
that's fine. I have a lot of experience against it. I just don't personally think it's very good.
mm-hmm.
I think there's better. It's not that it's not good. I think there's better options. I think it's the worst
Mm-hmm.
of the red decks you could play.
Yeah,
I
I
just be
find it puts some decks in check that maybe shouldn't be there, like Z or
yes,
because I think Z is actually very good, and it
yes,
can manage to like destroy your board. However, when you're playing, when Zoro faces it, it just checks it, right?
yeah. I agree with that. 100% agree with that. And I
So
think Nami might serve the same purpose in the next set.
I don't even know what to do against. I don't even want to think about that. It's like literally a month away, right?
I've already got it all figured out. So when you need to know, just hit me up.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the Patreon, guys. I'm gonna go sub to the Patreon. We're gonna jump in there. We're gonna find the goo, right? The goo.
Yeah. I think I lost that deck like the first 2 times I played against it, and I figured it out, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be like a matchup check. You either know how to beat it or you don't. So that'll be a big thing.
Is there
with the
any
deck.
deck that auto loses to Nami?
It'll be things that like the if people try to play like a OP1 style kid, people want to play something like Blurple Croc, just those
Things that
decks that
aren't
are kind of
aggressive.
just things aren't aggressive in general. Like it will beat those down, and that's why I'll keep a lot of decks in check. Like you, unless you just expect not to play it, which is also fairly reasonable in my opinion.
I mean, the thing is, unfortunately, it's a very liked character, so it will be played. I know people at my
100%.
locals are like, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna max it out, and they don't even play the game very much, right? So maybe that's not even worried about it.
The deck's like $10 to max out. There's like just almost nothing with that deck.
Yeah, the most expensive card is a Mihawk, and you could just pick another 2K counter. So
I guess the leader will have an alt art, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to jump into something because we were talking about it a little earlier, right? And that was anime, because it seems to be something you might do. My brother dragged me into anime, and I watch stuff. And you're talking about Union Arena. Is there something specific? What is that from?
Oh, Fairy Tail.
Fairy Tail.
That's Fairy Tail.
Is that where like there's like this pink haired guy and he's like really really strong, like strong as Goku kind of thing? Or
I don't know if he's strong as Goku, but there's a pink haired guy who's pretty strong. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I've seen a little bit of Fairy Tail battles, right?
Yeah.
From a friend who showed me it, but it's a pretty long running anime, right? So
yeah, it's not like amazing or anything.
Yeah.
I don't even think it scratches my top 5, but it's fun to watch.
But it's fun to watch as fan service, I believe, right? So all
if my fiance watches this, I do not watch it for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, you're all good. I mean, it's just an added benefit. It's a bonus. I didn't know this was gonna be in here.
Where'd that come from? But sorry, yeah, what were you saying?
Oh no. I guess did you ever play like Weiss Schwartz? Right? That's
no. I learned it, but it didn't.
Okay.
Didn't stick.
It kind of reminds me of what Union Arena might be, right?
Yeah.
Because that's basically it's a fan game at that point, right? So I'm
just hoping the gameplay is better. Like that's what I want. I will play it, but I would just hope it has good gameplay because ultimately I'll probably quit if it doesn't.
I hope it's simple because that's why I like One Piece. It's so simple, right? Where it's hard for people to be bad at it for a long time at One Piece. So hopefully that's the same way. However, it is a little odd that it's anime. It's probably going to be anime bound, right? And they're probably going to keep coming out with animes instead of having, there's only 6 animes in here, and then you're going to get more Hunter x Hunter support. No, your Hunter x Hunter support probably isn't coming for another year, right?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Gotta make it good the first time.
That's actually what I'm worried about if that's the case. Unless it's extremely simple, like so simple of a game that doesn't matter what deck you're playing, but...
So then I won't like that because I feel like One Piece, I can teach anyone One Piece in 20 minutes, but it would take that person, unless they just have a natural knack for it, like so long to be a pro level player at it. And I think Bandai hit that sweet spot so well, making a simple game that the best player will just have that slight advantage and do well every tournament.
Yeah,
I think they
yeah,
just nailed it on
and
that
lose the
front.
variance one out of every 10 games to a
Yeah,
player that's new or not as
sure.
yeah. So
And it's going to happen. Like sometimes they have 2 jet pests in their life, and that's the game. But most of the time, that guy's going to just like look at the people that are topping all the same events. It's all the same people every time. I
mhm,
mean, not like every time. But there's like
yeah,
Jackson and Ty, and I'm starting to have some tops. Like you see the
yeah,
same names over and over again.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah. So it makes you want to do better too. So it snowballs into doing better as well, I guess. So
Right.
yeah,
Like the
hopefully,
more you win, the more you want to win. Right. That's just
yeah, yeah, and then it almost gets you. I'm not saying it gets you free wins, right? But I'm sure opponents faced you before, and they're like, "Oh, I know you." Now I'm really nervous, right? So, which I don't think happens often, but it definitely can happen.
I have a huge like it happened in Magic all the time.
Okay,
Like
go
you
ahead.
would not even believe. Like there's this guy named Luis Scott Vargas, incredible player, and people are like he's the best in the world. And I'm not someone who gets intimidated nor cares who you are when I play in a
Mm-hmm.
card game. And I sat down from him and just blocked him 6 minutes, match was over.
Mm-hmm.
And we stood up and people were like, oh, I guess Luis got you. It's like, no, like I got him. And I'm not saying like I beat him every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like better than him or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
you like just don't be intimidated. Like they're
Yeah.
just people, right?
Yeah.
They're just
Actually, I still tell it to myself. We have some good local players, right? And even though I do well, right? And I sit down in front of them and I just tell myself I'm playing the exact same game they are, and because
yep,
they're not really doing anything different. I mean, they are doing something
yep,
different, but
yeah,
they have to play within the rules of the game,
yep, absolutely.
and the same things that happen to you happen to them as well, right?
Absolutely.
So
That's an incredibly good mindset. Like I think people when they adopt that mindset are going to go further and further and get
mhm.
better than they thought they could be at this game.
Yeah, and it does get different with people, even at local level. I'm sure people face you. People face me at local level. I'm like, you win a lot, dude, at locals,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm playing the same game you are, dude. We're both
Yeah.
X1 right now. So what do you like?
Yeah. It's like we're the same person. Like
uh,
I'm not any I'm not doing anything differently until you start making those like I don't even like calling them mistakes in this game. I just call them
mhm.
suboptimal plays.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to force your opponent into suboptimal plays too, right? So,
Yeah.
hmm. Yeah, big. Okay. Well, great. So we talked about anime. You watching anything right now too? By the way.
Uh Nothing like really. I'm watching, I guess, the new season of Demon Slayer,
Hmm.
as most people are. I found one called Hell's Paradise, which is kind of
I
up
think I
my alley.
saw that. What is that?
It's just kind of a main character is ridiculously strong type
Hmm.
anime, and
Hmm.
they're trying to search for the elixir of life, and they go and fight monsters. And actually, it's kind of turned into like a battle arena type tournament. They're all on
Okay.
an island, and they're all trying to kill each other.
Mm.
So that's right up my alley. Like
That
my
sounds
favorite
good.
anime ever is Yu Yu Hakusho,
Hmm.
if you've heard of it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I just love like tournament style fighting, killing, stuff like
Hmm.
that.
I have been in the boat of anything that's pretty funny, right? That gets me into anime a lot. But
Hmm.
then all this sort of MMO, even isekai stuff is good too. And so things like, have you ever watched Konosuba?
No.
That is right up the alley of being super funny and making fun of isekais and also being an isekai at the same time, right? So there's that Goblin Slayer, Demon Slayer is more there for other reasons. But now I'm showing my girlfriend One Punch Man right now,
Yeah,
so she's been into that, right?
what's
She
up
said
with
this is a lot better than I thought it was gonna be, and I'm
it?
like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's really funny.
it is funny. I mean, he's just Jesus, right? He's basically just Jesus. Like, I can do what I want. I win.
Yeah, yeah, basically that's just, it's very sad, and I wonder if that's probably already been made into a card game, right? I don't know. There's been other Union Arena kind of games, so not that it has to be a card game to be an anime, right? But
That's true.
all animes eventually go into a card game, and it's like that with Weiss Schwartz, right? Weiss Schwartz, they just immediately sell an anime comes to be a thing, and then Weiss Schwartz buys it, right? As like a
It's
right.
interesting.
And so like Goblin Slayer came out and like, okay, we're announcing a set.
Goblin
I'm
Slayer set.
like, really? I still have cards and it's really fun, but it's legit. Yeah, it's really strange.
I learned it. I mean, I think I learned with the Log Horizon. I think was the.
I think the main thing about Weiss Schwarz you need to know is the community's pretty good. Like that's what you really need to know. Is that the community's nice.
Yeah.
The card game doesn't matter so much. So
which can go a long way. Like a lot of people honestly just need that, right? You don't have to be trying to go out and win. You just want to hang out with people that are like-minded and aren't going to call you a butthole.
What is the best card game with the worst community? Just
ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, because there's a bad card games with bad communities, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if people consider Yu-Gi-Oh a great card game, right?
So, worst card game, worst community.
Worst card game, worst community. Best card game, worst community.
I would say it was probably either probably Flesh and Blood would be because that card game is incredible.
Okay,
but people get so mad. I don't
really. Why is that?
I don't know. Like I didn't play for very long. This is another card game where I had really good teachers, so I qualified for a Pro Tour super quickly. But I was still in my own right very novice, right? I just could play for some because I was taught pretty well, and I was beating people who were like, I'm top pro. I've been to all these events. I was like, I played one event, and and they just get mad at that. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to say I'm better than you. It's just that's just how the chips fell.
I mean, where did the player base from Flesh and Blood really come from? That was a Wizard. It's a Wizards game, right? Wizard of the Coast.
No, it's a random company from New Zealand called Legend Studios.
Oh.
It's a lot of disenfranchised Magic players. Actually, a lot of people like myself. And I think it's such a competitive card game. Like there's really no casual aspect to Flesh and Blood, and I think that's why it kind of brings out the worst in people for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, I know that the game's pretty expensive actually to get into as well. I've heard. I heard it's not on the low side at the very least. Right.
No, it has like this upfront cost, right? And then once you pay that upfront cost, every deck kind of uses the same cards for the most part.
And there's no real casual. How long does a game take of Flesh and Blood?
It's one game, and they usually take around 30 to 40 minutes, but it's 50-minute rounds. I think 50 or 55-minute rounds.
Oh, okay, got it. They had at our locals, right? They had a One Piece tournament at the same time as the Flesh and Blood, and people that play One Piece, some of them were in the Flesh and Blood tournament, so there wasn't as big of a turnout for One Piece that day. Also being a Sunday, so people just either work. Some people work. I work on Sunday, so I can't really get around that. But it was just interesting that went that way. So Flesh and Blood does have a community, but it's like only a competitive one. I don't see like a local one at where I live.
It's pretty strong around here. I think they get 15 to 20 at the local events, but for the most part, it's just the problem is it's just so competitive. There's no there's no commander or casual play to Flesh and Blood,
and it's really interesting. Is it a good IP? I don't think there is even an IP. It's just Flesh and Blood, right?
It's just generic fantasy. It really thrives off how good the card game is. Like it has. Other than that, the cards, the art, it's all pretty vanilla to me. It's basic stuff.
And One Piece has the great aspect of having a good IP behind it, so that's good.
Yeah,
right.
That's an understatement. It's an amazing IP, right?
Yeah. There's so many secondary markets that aren't even due with the cards itself, right? Just talking about that, playmats, sleeves, fan art, I like to call it culture, right? So
we had a guy who had like energy drinks. Like I was like One Piece energy drinks. I was like, okay.
I've seen those before. Yeah, like they have like Frankie Cola or something, right?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Did you know? Do you know what I mean by culture? However, when I say that,
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I get your gist. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, there's some culture. People just having a lot of lewd sleeves, basically, right? Nothing too bad. And so I'm like, well, hey, I like this card game.
We don't allow those at our locals,
Oh,
unfortunately.
nothing.
But
There has to be like a gray line, right? Where like, hey, this is too much, or that's okay. Well, that might be okay.
I think the too much. Okay,
Where's
the
the gray line?
I think the gray line is like the little straps here,
Okay, yeah,
and
that's already gone. Yeah,
I think the way too much is someone had the same thing, but it's like the straps are over like butt crack. And
yeah.
I don't know like I don't know what it is. That's like no, you can't have those. Like there's kids here. Like
Mm.
sorry, my guy.
I I almost say the gray line is basically the alt art Nami, right? It
Oh
may
no,
be no, not that bad. Okay,
that's fine.
it gets there, right? But then people, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, maybe a little bit past that, right?
A little bit past the
A
Nami.
little bit past the alt art Nami.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've had stuff that's not as bad as that, and then a judge told me, yeah, you can't have that, and I'm like, oh. On webcam though, no one said anything besides like one guy. And he was like, I'm surprised you get away with that. You've seen my sleeves, right? Some of them are kind of there. I think one's pretty bad, right? But they're my Dawn sleeves, so I can just flip them over. Not a big deal.
Right. Yeah, I'm not like super bothered, but I wouldn't say anything webcam. But
Yeah.
I will say this is back on the competitive note though
Mm-hmm.
that some people are using custom Dawn to take notes in a sense. Like they will have a custom Dawn that they will put out if they want to see what's on their Doffy stack. They might have a Gecko
Mm.
Moria Dawn that they'll put out knowing their Gecko Moria is 3 cards down. So that is
Oh,
something that might get enforced later on.
yeah. I mean, you could have. I mean, you have 5 Dawn. You have 10 Dawn. There's more than 10 Dawn right now available. You know, you could.
Yeah,
I mean, if you just go buy all the fancy,
sure.
expensive Dawn, but you
That's a
could.
little harder, but yeah, you're
I mean,
right.
like there's like regular Dawn, super pre-release Dawn,
Yeah,
Shanks, Luffy, and then Gold Dawn, et cetera, et cetera. Well, Black Dawn, Black Winter Dawn, Black Loser Dawn, but you can't use those, right? So,
like
um,
honestly, if it were me, I'd make it a floor rule. Your Dawn has to have be the same set.
really,
Like
okay.
yes, I'd make it so like it's either all white Dawn or it's all like character Dawn. That's what I would do personally, but I know a lot
Mm,
of people don't like that. But
yeah, I think it should be legitimate Dawn, right? Not like proxy cards, right? At
right,
casuals, I actually say go ahead, right? But
yeah,
I could see what you're saying there, and maybe I should incorporate that into my game plan. You know, just organize my Dawn in a way. I don't think I should do that. I think I already have a good enough memory, right? So,
yeah. I mean, you're only like 5 cards
and
down, but if
you're
there's ever
allowed to
some,
use dice, right? That's the thing. Like, I could use dice to be like, oh, you have this. How many cards in hand? So they put you like dice, 5 cards in hand, right?
as far
If
as I know, yes, you're allowed to do that.
so, you could do the same thing with you know with dice. It's kind of a weird thing. It's a gray line. It's actually not even a gray
Right.
line. They say it's absolutely legal, but you could have, let's say, 20 dice, and you're just like, okay, this dice is for this card, that dice is for that card.
Yeah.
You could do that, but at that point, why? Like you're going through so much work for really what? So,
The thing about the dice is it's kind of like if you're using dice and they can see them, that's kind of like open note taking.
mhm.
But if you have a coded system, I guess you can make a coded system with the dice, but it's not as obvious, right? If you're using your Dawn as a coded system, they might not pick
Mhm.
up on it.
Well, yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean,
It's weird.
the thing is too. I don't know where you really get the advantage of that anyway, because even with Doflamingo, I'm never really gonna have a memory problem unless I just forget.
Yeah, which I mean I've done maybe once in like the
Mm-hmm.
50,000 matches I played with it. So
Yeah, if you're having a hard time with that out there, just do a little more solitaire at home, and
yeah,
you'll know.
or play something else.
Yeah, or play something else. Oh yeah. What do you have an opinion like what might be the hardest or a hard deck to play or a hard deck to get into the ground with? I have a hard time playing red personally, right?
Mhm.
And but a lot of people tell me blue is pretty hard to play and win.
I think
Um,
the toughest deck I played to date, no, was what the kids say, no cap,
mhm.
is a film kid.
Film kit.
Honestly,
Okay.
yes, because I think every matchup is played very differently.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, yeah. I thought it seemed pretty vanilla to me, but very good. But I guess I wouldn't know those matchups, right? So
Right. On the surface, it looks like just like a base aggro deck, but
Mhm.
it's how you're achieving victory in the game is very different for every matchup. And I think that's what kind of gives it. I think that's what makes it strong
Okay.
because people aren't going to be able to play against it optimally every time.
Mhm. All right. Well, what I'll do is actually I'll let you plug away. Okay. Where can people find you? Where can people see your contents?
So I've been waiting for. All right. So I'm Will to Win Gaming on YouTube. I have tons of videos out there now. There's a lot of fundamental videos, what I call them, for basic how to play One Piece. And there's a lot of high level how to get better One Piece. And there's a lot of deck techs, game guides, whatever you can find. If you'd like to support us, you can look me up on Patreon, also at Will to Win Gaming. And we talked about this a little earlier, but there's tons of stuff, coaching, deck guides, deck lists, or you just $5 a month and help us out. New camera equipment, travel cost. I joke that I used it to buy manga cards, but that was just a joke. I actually already own all those, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, great, great.
I
All
think
right.
I think I mean I have we haven't launched our Twitch yet. We're getting pretty close, but we will have a Twitch channel at Will to Win Gaming, and we're planning to stream our playtest sessions, like our real ones, not like
Mm.
joking around. Like this is going to be us playtesting for in-person events on Twitch.
Do you
So
know if you do that like on a certain night of the week every week or the to
we
be
haven't picked
determined?
it's to be determined right now because we're just trying to solidify our schedule so we can. I'm open obviously since I'm doing this full time, but those other losers have 9 to 5, so they're hard to work
Yeah,
around.
work. It sucks to suck. Yeah, I get it. So, hey, well, it was really nice talking to you. Okay,
Yeah,
and
I had fun. I hope I did okay.
that was really. Oh no, you did great. Honestly,
All right.
you told me you didn't want to. Well, not didn't want to, but you wouldn't be a great conversationalist. But you had a lot to say. So, uh,
He just told me I talk too much.
no, good. Well, hey, thank you everyone for watching this podcast. Again, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And again, leave in the comments who you want to come see here. I'll probably talk to Cross and see if he wants to come talk as well. But appreciate it. See you in the next one. Peace.